Welcome to episode 207 of Missing Pieces. This is my weekly audio journal podcast where I talk about what I'm up to and what I'm into. Before we get into this week in my life, we've got to clear up some old business from episode 206, which, if you remember back, I was expecting a package from FedEx that I had to sign for, and I anticipated that it would arrive while I was recording my podcast, which would be very inconvenient. So I put it out there that it would arrive afterwards. And it did just that, but not like right after. It was way after, which just goes to show you that you can expect things, you can will things, but in most cases, things are just going to happen and you just have to adapt to it. And sometimes it's going to be things that work in your favor, sometimes not. Just let the world do its thing. So I just thought maybe there were some people on the edge of their seats finding out what happened to that package. What was in the package? Ooh, we'll leave that a mystery. I can't reveal everything here on Missing Pieces. Sometimes some pieces should be missing, but it was a camera. I don't know if I'm fully satisfied with it either. I have a history of trying out cameras and then being like, oh, is it that much better than the one that I have? Is it worth the cost? I'm in that boat right now. So no pieces are missing at this point. But what is missing was me recording this episode on my traditional Friday afternoon, which I used to do, but then yard sale season hit, and Friday afternoon I got home at like 2 in the afternoon after hitting community yard sales, which the video is already out. If you want to go watch us, go find some really cool scores. And then I had to edit a vlog because I'm starting to do this thing. This is me explaining why I'm so busy right now. And you people with jobs, kids, families, all this stuff are like, Greg, come on now. Are you serious? I'm not complaining. I'm just giving, or making excuses. I'm just telling you what happened on Friday. So yard sailing pretty much the whole day. I had to wait until Clark Mann got off to school. And then I rushed over to Bud and Deb's. We drove all the way out to a place called Howard, Pennsylvania, where they historically have had good community yard sales. Last year they did, and this year was great too. I didn't get home until about 2, edited a Greg's World vlog. And then by that time, it was like Clark Mann coming home. And then that night was really fun because we did a Patreon exclusive video where Ray, who always tunes in, I have to shout out Ray. He leaves these wonderful comments on my videos, and I forgot to shout him out last week. So this is my follow-up. He did get a shout out in that video, but we made a Patreon exclusive pizza party night where we went and got some pizza. We played Fortnite. We watched the X-Men series. It was like a guy's night because Cody was out doing like a little teacher engagement thing with some of her friends. And as I said in my vlog, if you're a non-teacher and you then go to an establishment with all teachers, you're just like on an island by yourself because you don't have that thing to relate to. I'm like, you guys teach and stuff, but have you ever found some really great flips at the bins? And that's kind of my life. And I wanted to kind of go into that now as we checked off Friday off the list here. My life as a reseller, which is essentially what I've become. And I absolutely love it. I think I might have talked about it maybe here on the podcast or maybe in one of my vlogs, because again, I've been going a little crazy lately with May rolling around. I decided that I'm just going to start doing daily vlogs, but they're not just daily vlogs. They're SLVs, super long vlogs. And I'm recording like an hour and a half of footage every day of all this stuff that I'm doing. I'm chopping that up, making like a 25, actually they're all about 22 minutes. It's like a perfect TV show minus all of the plot, the good acting, the production value, none of that's there, but it's about the same length as a TV show. And I've been really enjoying that, like the documenting of my life. And a lot of it is me just kind of sharing my reselling thing that I'm into, which is now like a super huge part of my life because I'm finding this fulfillment in it that the only other place I've been able to find this professionally has been through making YouTube videos. It kind of has the same gist. Like I love like the process of making the video on the thing and the hunt. I like finding the thing. It kind of is like Lego a little bit in that case. And then I love like the listing and the posting it to eBay. I love having like my own store where I'm selling things. And then I love it when I get a sale and you hear that cha-ching come through your notifications. You eBay peeps know what I'm talking about. And then I love the packaging and the packing of it. And I even probably the worst part of it is taking to the post office, but I even like that because it's like, it's really fulfilling, you know, like there's that fulfillment level here. And not to mention the fact that I just love like flipping things. I love finding something for $2 at the bins, for example, or at a yard sale. And then you sell that for $25 or $40. And it's just like, dude, this is like I don't want to say a rush. It's not like I'm jumping out of a plane with no parachute on or anything, but it's like it tickles all the right places in my brain. I just love it so much. I love having a store. I love sourcing the products. I love making videos about all that. And it's just so much darn fun. And I've been having a huge amount of success at it with all the things I've been finding through yard sale season popping back up, as I talked about. And the bins just always being like a resource of awesome things. It's just been like so great for me. I have kind of modified my strategy a little bit though. I'm doing a thing now where like the bins items are things that are in my mind like supporting the store, right? Or like this hobby financially. I'll find something in the bins for $3 and then I sell it for $20. And then like that's my yard sale money where I go out, or estate sales, because we went to estate sales this week as well, made a video about it. And that's the hard part of this podcast is like everything I'm talking about, I'm like, I already talked about this. I already showed it. But this is like, I guess, the director's commentary. So welcome, Missing Pieces, everyone. 207 episodes in. My thing now that I'm like really excited about, and this was encouraged by my Saturday of yard selling last weekend. This week we didn't go out because yesterday and today, again, recording this on Sunday morning. This is literally going out in 3 hours. Like this needs to be to you in 3 hours. And I should say, let me just do a little side tangent here and hopefully I remember where I was in that conversation. I was really tempted to not make an episode this week, being that I didn't have time during the week. And then we get into Sunday morning and I was just like, it'd be easy to not do this. Just like everything in life, it's easy to not do it. But then I think about you, casual listener, or maybe passionate listener, you lovely listener. I think about you and I'm like, there's somebody out there that is really looking forward to this episode. They're really looking forward to maybe on Monday morning when they're going to work, or Sunday afternoon when they're doing the dishes. Even got some comments about like that, like people's routines with this show. And I'm like, they're expecting an episode, Greg. You can't just not do this. And I talked about it before where it's easy to let yourself down and you can be like, I'll do it next week. It's not that big of a deal. It's easy to let yourself down and say that. But when there's people relying on you and holding you accountable, even if they're not really, there would have been no consequences for me to not do this today. I know that there's people out there that are looking forward to it. And for that, that's why I do it. So that's why I'm here. And I thank you for that because I needed that. It's easy to be like, I'm just going to not, but I am. What I'm not doing this weekend is yard selling because the weather was bad. Last weekend, we had a gorgeous Friday, just like this week. Fridays are great. Saturdays, weather's not so great. And last Saturday, the finds weren't great either. But there was a few things while I was making my video. I was thinking back to some things I showed in the video and shared. And in particular, there was this M&M's container. It was like I guess it could hold candy or you could put anything in it, but it was like a ceramic thing that was of one of the peanut M&M guy. And I thought that was really cool. I don't even look at the price because I think I was looking at it and Clark Mann found something and I kind of went off of it. And then there was this dog. And, when I go to yard sales, yard sales for me are just an excuse to go pet everyone's dog, to be honest. That's the only reason I go and finding cool scores. But I was thinking like, dang, I need to focus less on I need to find something that I can flip for revenue and more towards finding cool stuff to have in my store. That's where I'm at. So going forward from there at the estate sales, which is the first thing that we hit up this week on a Thursday, I ended up finding some things that weren't necessarily like hit it out of the ballpark. Like, I bought that for $1 and I sold it for 50. Those things are out there, right? But there were things that I was just like, that's really neat. I want to find items that I think are interesting to me. In fact, I want things that are like going to be hard for me to sell. I just think, I want like cool stuff. That way when people go to my eBay store, because obviously like when you are sharing all this, people are inclined to go over and be like, let me go see that. Or, the M&M's thing. I needed that in my M&M's collection. It was the one piece that was missing. Why didn't you buy it, Greg? And I'm like, I don't know why I didn't buy it. I should have. So I'm just trying to find stuff like that when I go to estate sales and yard sales that are just interesting pieces, I guess. Think of this as like my own little booth, my virtual booth, where I don't want to just have the boring bin stuff because I have that. Like there were some Bausch and Lomb eye drops or something that I bought for $2 and I sold for $25. There was 3 of those. So those are like the items that are like driving in the money, right? Which is great. And again, I'm not doing this. This isn't really a thing where I'm doing this for the income so much as it's almost like a game to me. Again, it's like it's fulfilling in the same way that getting a high score in a video game is fulfilling, or like, anybody that's ever like resold something, I guess probably feels this, maybe not the same passion for it that I do, but I don't know. It's just perfect for me. And you're probably tired of hearing about me talk about being a reseller. But again, I'm trying to switch it up from just the quest for these crazy flips on a financial basis, which is what the bins is, because it's hard to be passionate about some of the items that you find there, to finding like cool items at yard sales. I'm just looking for cool stuff for my store. So if you go to my eBay store, you're going to see some like just random things in there, right? And then you're going to see some like really cool things. And I wish there was a way to almost like make folders or to split that in some way. But it is what it is. People can find stuff. And most times when people are shopping on eBay, they never even make it to your store or whatever. They just look for the item they're looking for, and they're like, oh, that guy has my item and it's a good price and I'm going to buy it ideally. And that's kind of what it is. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing. It's making it, I think, from outside of a business perspective, but just a sharing perspective, which to me is like the biggest part of this. Like, I'm probably making, it's probably better for me financially just to go out looking. And even if I don't find anything, it's still worth it because I get to make content out of that, which is surprisingly what I do for a living. But not necessarily reselling. That's just the icing on the cake of me like having fun. And I hope, again, a part of me thinks like, dang, I share a lot of like the reselling side of things. My channel is becoming that, but this has always been, this podcast and my channel have always been following my life's journey. There's different chapters in that and seasons as time goes by. You can follow all of those if you're brave enough to go back far enough. But that's just where I'm at right now. I'm having a lot of fun with it. A year from now, maybe I'll be over it, but I just don't think so. This is just so much darn fun that I can't resist. So I'm trying to build up my stuff, make some cool things, have some cool things in the store, and ideally sell some of those things. But if they sit for a bit, that's okay. I'm just trying to make the most of this and have as much fun as I can, and share that experience along the way, which is historically what I've done in my other hobby. Like this, I feel like the reselling thing, and you may have noticed this, especially if you're a fan of my Lego channel, Brickitect, it's kind of replaced that hobby in some ways. Like obviously I'm still a Lego enthusiast, but it's really hard for me these days to like actually spend money on Lego. Like I'm totally fine with finding Lego at yard sales and getting a box of miscellaneous pieces for $5 that I can part out of my collection. But when it comes down to actually like buying Lego and even building it for that matter, like I really haven't done much of that this week, other than the fact that Lego has done their May the 4th promotion, which started on May 1st. Where they have a whole bunch of gift with purchases if you buy Star Wars sets. They had some discounts on Star Wars sets as well. And I looked at that for the longest time, and I was having one heck of a time even finding something that I wanted to buy. Like you had to spend $160 to get to the price point to get all the promos. And I just was like, there's nothing that I want. Like this is, I'm just kind of like over it looking at the Star Wars stuff. Like I still love bigger Lego sets. I like putting stuff on display. That's where I'm at with Lego. I like putting parts in my collection. I like Clarkman, at least building mocks. Not so much me. Mostly spending my time listing things on eBay, obviously. But I wanted to take advantage of this, even if the promos weren't even that great. I knew there was a lot of value in it, and I found a set that was on sale. And then Clark saw the Phantom Menace brickheads and liked those, and I thought, oh, we could build those together. So I bought the Ghost from Star Wars Rebels and the brickheads, and that got me to the price point where I got the gift with purchases. But man, it was like to actually want to like find something to spend money on, but then to not find anything that like really lights your world on fire is a different place for me. And it's kind of showing me that Lego isn't having the place in my life that it once had. Like today, which is Sunday, I mentioned that. I'm more excited about getting all of these listings done of all the stuff that I found, because I've made the videos, and it's like I had this commitment where I want all of my stuff listed within 24 hours of getting it. And this week I still have some stuff from the bins that I got. I've got the estate sale they went to on Thursday to list, and then the Friday yard sale stuff to list. And there's a ton of things. So I'm like more excited about listing that stuff than I am about building any Lego stuff. And I think that's okay. Like our tastes change over time. Lego's been a big part of my life, and I think will continue to be that. It's always going to be something, but like, I don't know. I'm just having way more fun with the reselling thing. Like it's tickling more places in my brain, and I keep using that phrase because it's like the best way I can describe it. It tickles way more places in my brain than uh, buying the Lego stuff. Because for me, like I think what this comes down to, it's the hunt. Number one thing, my favorite thing, it's the hunt and making videos surrounding that. Number two is having a store place to sell things, and then three is selling those things for a profit, ideally. Lego only really does the hunt things a little bit, like finding a Lego deal for 20% off or 50% off if you're super lucky is pretty cool. But I find like these days in the last few years, I find that Lego prices are so exorbitant, in my opinion, that even getting 20 or 30% off now, in my opinion, is just basically retail prices of what they used to be, which is crazy. And I'm just like voting with my wallet. I'm out. You know, you have products that are cool, but they're way overpriced for what I'm willing to spend. And that could just be me being a cheapskate. It could be me going to yard sales and finding really cool stuff for like no money at all. And then you look at a Lego set that's on sale for $130 and it's like, okay, great. So I'm kind of shifting, and I know the Lego guys and girls are going to be like, oh man, but I think it's been a long time coming. I'm still going to make Lego content here and there, but it's not going to be daily. It's not, I mean, maybe, who knows, but I just share it when I feel like it. And it's definitely like of all the burners in my life, it's the back burner. The only further thing from being on a burner is my gaming channel, which is absolutely dead. I have been like really wanting to get a driving simulator cockpit. I have nowhere to put it, but I'm willing to sacrifice something in here in order to make that happen, because I just want to play Gran Turismo 7 with the steering wheel, pedals, the shifter kit, and I want to like actually feel like I'm in a car doing that. So I may make that happen because that's just something that I really want to do. And also this week I may be starting a playthrough of FIFA, which is now called FC 24. It's coming to PlayStation Plus this week, and I thought for doing like an exclusive Patreon gaming thing, and I was thinking about doing that. I did start playing Fallout New Vegas. I'm just trying to decide what would be like more entertaining to do. So I'm putting out a lot of exclusive content over there, which I should now advertise to you as well, since you're a dear listener. We said casual, passionate earlier. Now you're dear listener. Have a Patreon if you like exclusive videos that you can't find anywhere else. If you want to support the podcast that hopefully you're getting some value from in your life, you've probably listened to every single episode from the very beginning to the very end. You can support it on Patreon, but if you don't want to, totally understand. I'm just trying to give those peeps value over there and doing my best that I can. And that was another thing. What did I do yesterday? Saturday. Yeah, we didn't go out yard sailing, so I ended up editing not only the yard sale footage from Friday and got that video out, but like back to back, I put out the Friday night video of Clark and I doing our pizza party thing, which was really cool. And that video, I think, is actually longer than the yard sale video. So 2 videos, super long, both going out simultaneously, was an accomplishment, but it like took everything that I had yesterday. And then like we kind of just chilled and stuff. I did finish a series that I watched, since we're out of the reselling part of today's operation, which again, like I'm going to have to start questioning myself, which no, I'm not actually. This is what I do. This is my week in my life, what I'm up to and into. And if I'm into something and that happens to be over multiple weeks, you can't really have any shame in that, right? And if as far as I'm concerned, if it's something that you're not like into or passionate about, there'll be more weeks where there's other things that come up. But let's talk about things I watched. We kind of got into some shows this week, something I haven't done in a long time. I kind of fritter my time away, I find, on YouTube, watching videos and stuff. And I'm like, am I getting any like real value out of this? In some cases, yes. But a lot of times it's like I could watch YouTube for an hour, and at the end of it, it's like TikTok's even worse. And it's just like, okay, that was time. That's all you can say. That was time. We started watching a show called Wheel of Time. I've heard good things about it on a podcast that I listen to, and at least the book series. But we watched the Amazon Prime series. There's 2 seasons out. We watched season 1 and really enjoyed it. It's about this group of 5 young individuals, like 20 years old or so. And it's kind of set in medieval times a little bit, like Lord of the Rings is what it reminds me of somewhat. But one of these 5 kids, I'll call them kids, is the dragon reborn. This dragon comes back like every 3,000 years or something like that, and can either be the destroyer of the world or the savior of the world, is what they're predicting one of these kids are. And then they go on this journey together, again, Lord of the Rings style. And it was really enjoyable to watch. But it was also kind of interesting because after we finished the first season, I went to the internet and to Reddit specifically to see what people are thinking about it, to see like discussion on it. And that's when I discovered that literally every single person hates this show. Mostly people that have read the books, because I guess the show does a disservice to the books themselves. But people were hating on the story, people were hating on the lighting, the acting, everything about it. People hated the show. And I was just thinking about how, had I read those reviews before I watched it, I would have never even given it a chance. And that also happened for another show that I watched called Ripley, which is on Netflix. If you've heard of the movie The Talented Mr. Ripley, starring Matt Damon, I think from 1999, it's another version of that, which is also a book. I think a book series, like 5 different books. And this one was beautifully shot in black and white. It's a Netflix show set in the 1960-ish time frame in Italy, and it's about Ripley, Tom Ripley, who is commissioned to go to Italy to find Richard Greenleaf, the son of a wealthy boat yard owner, and to bring him back to the United States or convince him to come back. But in reality, what happens, and this is a bit of a spoiler if you plan to watch this, but I think is known as the premise of it, he ends up killing Richard Greenleaf and stealing his identity and living as Richard Greenleaf in Italy. But a lot of things start catching up with him, and he has to do some other really bad stuff. And and he's kind of like a fraudster to begin with. So it's one of those things where he's just not a great guy, and he keeps getting away with things. So I really enjoyed that. But also, after I finished it, which I finished it last night, it was 8 episodes. I went and looked at the Reddit community on that, and people were absolutely hating it as well. And I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, this is so beautiful. Like the shots that they got and how it's shot in black and white. It's just was so interesting to me visually. I admit the story is a little slow over 8 hours. I definitely could have told it in less time, but a lot of it was so like suspense building that I found myself sometimes having to hit the fast forward 10-second button, maybe like you while you're listening to this podcast as I'm talking about reselling. Just to like relieve the tension that I was feeling, like the suspense. And I love that about it. But again, online, and maybe this is just people that tend to comment on things online, tend to be haters in general, particularly when it comes to entertainment. Because like I really loved Wheel of Time, or I really loved Ripley. I'm probably not going to go to Reddit and be like, let me tell you why I love this so much. Whereas if you really dislike something, like a negative bias, you're going to go on and be like, I hate this so much. Let me tell you how I feel because I'm disgruntled and I want other people to agree with me. And we all want to be in a collective state of outrage. That's pretty much how we operate, right? People are hating on Ripley too. And I'm just like, dang, I'm glad I didn't look at the reviews of that, because then I probably wouldn't have watched it. So what I've learned from this is that you have to make your own opinion. If we learned a couple things today, we learned that you can't will things into existence in some cases. Maybe in some you can. We learned that I talk way too much about being a reseller, and I'm probably a little too passionate in it as I go all in or all out on things, and following the catchphrase, be obsessed or be average. And then I also learned that you should form your own opinion on things and don't worry about other people. If you see something that you're interested in, just go ahead and watch it. Don't be concerned about you wasting your time, because if you don't like it or if you find yourself not really vibing with it, just kind of cut it off, right? Because that's the only reason I even look at that kind of stuff. It's like, ooh, this is 8 episodes of Wheel of Time. Do I want to invest 8 hours into this? And then I would go and look and be like, oh yeah, apparently I don't. And then you just don't do it. So make your own opinion. I think that's a good life lesson here in episode 207 of Missing Pieces. So that kind of takes me to the future outlook. What's my plans for this week, the second week of May? Obviously, back to vlogging. This weekend, I didn't really have anything to share. We didn't really do anything of importance. So maybe we'll just do like Monday through Friday. I'm trying to share something interesting each day, the most interesting aspect of my, some would consider, boring life. But most of it is just involving, like so much of it now, between going to yard sales, oftentimes 2 times a week, going to estate sales, maybe 1 time a week, and then having 1 to 2 bins days. Most of it is involving that. And I'm sharing some of that, trying not to overdo it, but then there's other things happening. I'm just trying to capture little moments, even small things like the family going for a walk on the bike path. These are memories that I'm going to want to have captured, and I think it's nice to share and make like a little story of each day. So I'm trying to do that. Obviously, reselling that's not happening, not stopping anytime soon. Lego content here and there. I have a Lego video to make. In fact, I saved some yard sale footage in order to have some of that spliced in while I go through 2 sets that I found last Saturday. That's how far behind I am on the Lego stuff. I'm going to make a video about that. I also have my May the 4th haul, which I just told you what it is, so you can entirely skip that video. And I'm just going to keep doing that kind of stuff. I'm also on a quest. Like I realize that starting today, there's 28 days until June 1st, which is crazy to think about. And I'm trying to get my food situation back on track because I kind of went off the rails a little bit, been snacking a little too much. We've been going to like fast food places because it's like, it's yard sale season. Let's have some fun and have some McDonald's when we're done, as I heard in a song once. And I'm trying to like really dial that in because this summer we've got a lot of travel plans and, some places where I'm going to be, in swim shorts, and I want to be like feeling like my best self. So 28 days, I'm going to try to do everything that I can to kind of get into the shape that I want to be. So I'm going to will that into existence. We'll try to make that happen. But I mean, I say all that with our life lessons. You can't will things, but I do think through showing up, as we always say, like what I'm doing right now, showing up and being consistent, you will be successful. And that's probably the ultimate lesson and the lesson I always deliver. Show up, be consistent. So that's what I did this morning with you. I showed up, stayed consistent. I could have skipped this week, and then next week, all this stuff from this week would have been forgotten. And I'd be like, what? Because that's happened when we come back from vacation, which again, like summertime, things are going to get more sporadic with these episodes, but I'm still going to keep trying to make them whenever I can, even if it is Sunday morning. That being said, Clarkman is right now waiting for me. We're going to be doing some Hot Wheels racing. So he's waiting for me to do that. I told him I would come up when I'm done with this episode. So listener feedback, I'm going to reply to everyone individually in the comments. So if you are a dear listener to this episode, you can go back to episode 206, which is the one right before this if you're on YouTube, and you can look down through the comments and then see my replies. Oftentimes, how things work on YouTube, so you can see all those, and I'll reply to everyone, which will be very easy to do, and I'll do that in a quick manner while this video is exporting and the podcast is exporting and doing that stuff. I do hope that you enjoyed this episode of hearing me talk about whatever this week was as I record this mere moments before you get an opportunity to listen to it. If you do have any listener feedback and stuff from next week, I'll try to get back into doing that normally. Ideally, I'll find some time to do this on a Friday afternoon when Clarkman's not home. If I'm not already editing another video that I recorded on Thursday, you can kind of see the problem here. Lots of recording of things, lots of editing, lots of adventures in searching and hunting, lots of selling. I think it's a good place to be, and I'm excited to be there. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you have a glorious week this week. And as always, we'll find you in the next Missing Pieces.